Hey guys, welcome to the Nerd Cave. And so today, we're going to be talking about handheld gaming. One of my favorite ways to game on the go is with one of these. You all know it, the original DMG Game Boy. Now, this is the best Game Boy, in my opinion. It's big, it fits in my hands well, and it plays some of my favorite games. One of the most popular is the Pokemon series. Now, I tore the sticker off of mine when I was a kid. That was my mistake. But you can find these things anywhere nowadays. I picked this up on eBay for like 40 bucks. And today I'm gonna show you a couple of mods you can do to like really make this thing pop. We're gonna be doing a backlight mod, and we're gonna be doing changing the shell on it to give it a different color and just something a little more appealing to the eyes and it's really gonna stand out when someone sees you playing it. So the first thing you want to check if you buy a Game Boy, especially on a place like eBay, make sure it works. Just go ahead and throw some batteries in there, turn it on, make sure it turns on, make sure the screen looks okay, and all the buttons are responsive. This one feels pretty good. Sound is okay. As you can see, the screen does work. It does have a little line right here, and I'm hoping we can cut that out with this backlight kit because it does come with a new polarizer. And I will leave links to everything in the description below. Okay, so now that we've tested the Game Boy to make sure it works, now we can start installing the backlighting kit. Now, before you start, you should probably know that you are going to need a few things if you want to even take this thing apart. You're going to need to want to go pick up some sort of electronics repair kit. I got this one at Walmart for like 8 bucks. And you're going to need a soldering iron of some sort. You can find these on Amazon pretty cheap. I think I picked this one up on Amazon for like 15 bucks. So go ahead. First thing you want to do, take out the batteries, of course. Just set those aside for now. And if you do choose to put a new shell on your Game Boy, it actually comes with the right screwdriver that you need to take it apart. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that. There are 6 tri-wing screws on the back. Be very careful when you're taking it apart because the screen, as you can see, has this ribbon cable. And you want to be very careful taking that ribbon cable out so that you don't break it. It's just a friction fit. Okay, we can just set that aside for now because what we want's in here. Now the screws on the inside are all going to be just a standard Phillips. Okay, so once you get all those screws out of the circuit board, you can just lift it up out of there. And now we can start getting to the screen. So there's 2 screws right here and here. You just take those out. And then we should be able to pop the screen out. Got to be really careful when taking this screen out, because it is soldered to on the other side. Okay, now once we got the screen up, next you want to peel this metallic sticker is what it is, basically. This is the polarizer, and we got a new one with our kit. And so we need to carefully peel this off. You can just get a utility knife on the corner here. And just slowly start working at it. And then you want to try to peel everything off all in one swipe. Just like that. So once you get that sticker off, there's going to be a little residual adhesive. And you can use some isopropyl alcohol to get that off. And it won't hurt the electronics. Okay, so now that you got that done, now we're ready to take our little backlight module and carefully slide it back behind the screen. And you are actually going to have to trim a little bit of the frame right there so that those wires from the backlight module can slip underneath of it. So we're just going to put that in there. And now we get that little polarizer that I was talking about. And it does only work one way, but if you turn everything on and it doesn't work, all you got to do is spin it to the side and it should work fine. Okay, so now we got the screen all put back together. I'm just going to go ahead and put those two little screws back in it just to hold everything in place. There we go. Now it should look like this. Two little wires coming out of there. Okay, so once you get that done, then you're going to want to get power to this thing. And the way you want to solder this thing is just like this. You're going to use this capacitor right here to draw power from. Put your negative wire, your black one, on that side of the capacitor. And then put your positive with the, should be a supplied resistor. Put it right there. And then I'm going to cover everything up with heat shrink on this positive side with this resistor so that it doesn't rub or short anything out. So once you have that done, you can stuff the wires back behind that capacitor through the other side so that it's a much cleaner look. Okay, so now that you've soldered those wires on, now we need to check to make sure it works. So just go ahead and grab the other half, put your batteries back in, and you just want to carefully plug in this ribbon cable. Like I said, it is a friction fit, so just shove it in there until you can feel that it's plugged in. And then just kind of carefully set that, and we just want to flip the switch, make sure our light turns on, and you can see that it is working. And so now we move on to this bivert chip. So here's what it's going to look like. I actually soldered this off screen because this is what's going to take you the most time, and you have to be really careful when you're lifting off these pins. But what's nice about these backlighting kits is that they design these bivert chips to actually line up with the spots that you need to solder on the board. And so what you want to do is you want to start by counting over 5 pins right here. So pin 5 and 6, you want to carefully lift those up, and you can do that by using these little tweezers that came in our little electronics kit, and you just want to push that just underneath of that pin a little bit, and then apply a little bit of pressure, and then you can get your soldering iron, set it to its high setting. Like I had mine set to around 800 degrees. Apply a little bit of pressure, put your soldering iron on there until it pops up, and then go ahead and do the same thing for the other side, and then you'll be able to slide this bivert chip in there, lining up these 3 spots on this Nintendo circuit board. Go ahead and fill those up with solder to make the connection, and then be very careful when you solder these 2 little pins. Make sure they don't touch, and then you're going to have to solder on this ground wire, and you can do that by there's a spot right here labeled ground, and then you want to solder it to this spot right here on the Nintendo circuit board. I'm just going to kind of hold that in front of the camera so that you guys can get a reference, and when it's all done it should look just like that. So if your goal was just to install the backlight module, then you're done. You can go ahead and reassemble the Game Boy. But since I ordered this aftermarket shell for this, I'm going to go ahead and completely disassemble and remove the circuit boards completely, and then reinstall them in this orange shell. Okay, so now that we got the circuit boards out, we can start placing them into the new aftermarket shell. And what's nice about these aftermarket shells is they actually come with all new buttons and everything you need, even new screws. So we're just going to set this one aside, and then we'll start placing all of our electronics into the new shell. There we go. Half of it's done. Now we can set this aside for now. Then we can move on to our front plate. And the aftermarket shells, they come with new rubber pads for the buttons. So we can throw our new buttons in there. And then we can start throwing in our new rubber pads, making sure they line up. And now we can just carefully slide the front circuit board into the new shell, making sure all the holes line up. We'll slide the speaker in. Speaker does have a little notch on the side, so make sure that's lined up. If it is giving you trouble, line up that little notch and it should just drop right in. And now we'll start putting all of our little screws in there. And make sure you didn't miss any screws, because this one has a lot of them. And there it is. So now we're going to want to carefully plug that ribbon cable back in. And we'll mate the two halves. They have little pins in there. You got to make sure they line up. And now we'll put our screws back in. And it wouldn't be complete without a new screen cover. These are pretty easy to install because there's actually you can actually see where the screen cover goes. It's recessed in a little bit, and then you just want to carefully place this over. Make sure you're pressing it down. And there it is. Well, that's it, guys. That's how easy it is to turn your old dusty Game Boy into something really cool with upgraded technology. If you guys like what you saw, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button for future content. I'll see you later.